second trip I took her on, this one was a little bit different because this one, oh my God. So this one was great. Everything great about it, right? This was maybe a year and a half into seeing each other, year and a quarter into seeing each other. This one was really interesting because around 3 days into the trip, Bree sent me an email saying, like, a super long email saying she knows that I'm with Gianna. She found out Gianna's name. She found out Gianna's age. She found out where she lives and everything. Crazy. Like, insane the amount of details she uncovered about Gianna. And keep in mind, I have not answered this girl's emails or contacts of any sorts in years. Over two years. And I broke up with her clean. I never, did anything wrong to her. I never cheated on her, nothing. Clean breakup, but she just never let go, and she was still stalking me very heavily. And so she sent this email, right? And because it came in while I was on the trip with Gianna, I decided to tell Gianna about it because, like, I was just looking at it and I was like, I don't need to hide this really. And if anything, it'll, like, help our relationship more because I guess it shows I'm more desired, if a girl's still thinking about me. This is how my mind thinks. It's very ROI oriented because I'm fucking autistic. But anyway, I decided to show her, and it sent her into a very emotional state. And this was after she had like 2 to 3 drinks at the beach, and we were getting ready to take a shower together. And so she's already, getting the shower ready, and the floor is a little wet. And she's in this state, like emotional, a little bit drunk. And I'm in the other room, and she's like really upset, crying. And during this like time, she is walking in there, and I just hear a bang, like her whole body weight hit the floor, and I'm in the other room, and I'm thinking, obviously she just fell. So I immediately run inside. I look. She's face down on the ground, and blood just starts pouring away from her head. And my adrenaline shoots up like crazy because as far as I know, she's dead. She's dead or brain damage or could die. So my survival instincts, or not survival instinct, but just like my instincts in general kicked in. And in short, I ended up saving her life. So I turned her over. She had a massive gash down her face. She still has a scar now, but she hides it pretty well. It's gone away, but massive gash on her face like this. And blood just pouring out of it, and it's just open. And as far as I know, maybe the skull fractured, something like that. So I'm thinking every second counts. It probably was the case, So I picked her up. Here's a reason why. Here's a reason why you don't need to have huge muscles like a roid cell, but you need to be strong, because you might just have a situation like this, where you have to carry a girl to save her life. Or not just that, but when you're in bed with a girl, like being able to carry her, pick her up and all, these things matter. So you gotta have enough strength to at least do that. So anyway, I had to pick her up. Picked her up. She's gushing blood out of her head. I open the door with like one hand like this, and I have no shirt. She's just in a bathrobe, and there's blood all over the bathrobe, completely soaked red. And my pants, I put on some pants real quick, and some shoes, no shirt though, and I'm carrying her like this, and we're on the second floor, and I start screaming. I'm like, security, security, and we're in the Dominican Republic, where there's very few staff workers who speak English, so I know this is going to be a fucking headache. So I'm screaming, security, security, and this is a huge resort, massive resort. So they need to bring golf carts around to take people around places. That's how big it is. And I had no idea where the hospital was. So I'm trying to call security, call somebody to get me a golf cart to take me to wherever the local hospital is. So then they could organize taking us to a real hospital. I take her down the steps. I carry her down. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs like, security, security. And I'm running with her in my arms trying to find somebody. Finally run into some guy. He doesn't speak any English. I'm like, hey, look, need you to call security, security. And the little bit of Spanish that I knew, I was able to articulate to him. And he got the idea because he saw blood everywhere. So he said something on his walkie-talkie. He's like, okay, wait here. They come with the golf cart. They help me, put her on the cart. I'm holding her, and I realize I need to get our passports. Our phones, and everything. Because I just picked her up and I ran to get help, which was the ideal timing. I needed to do it this way. I'm glad I did. But I had to get her on the cart. We got her like strapped in. They started putting like bandages on her head, like towels and shit. And I said, I'll be right back. I need to get the passports and all. So I sprint full speed, going to get everything. I come back. I'm like, let's go. It's like a freaking movie. So we go to the local hospital. She's like super lightheaded, completely out of it. And I'm thinking like, there's a chance she could die. And this is where I really felt that like fatherly love and care. Like, I really feel like I loved her like a daughter because like I really cared about her, and it was more than just like a regular human life. I feel like it was a connection I felt there. Like I really, really cared about saving this person. And so we're in the golf cart. We go to the local hospital there. They bandage her up a little bit. No stitches. They put like wax or something on it to like stop the bleeding for a little bit. And they put a bandage strap over her head, and they're like, yeah, we got to go to the actual hospital. Then we get in an ambulance there. The ambulance takes us to the hospital. And there at the hospital, they immediately take us, luckily. We skip the whole line in front of everyone. And they start operating. They start stitching her up and everything. And thankfully, the skull wasn't impacted, and she didn't lose enough blood to make her like have brain damage or anything. So I had acted fast enough because the blood was literally just pouring out. It was insanity, craziness. And I'm thinking like, if I'm not there, she just bleeding out. First of all, let me explain how it happened. At least we both speculate. There's a glass door, right? You know how those bathroom glass doors are kind of sharp on the edges? So she slipped, we speculate. And as she's coming down, she like swiped her head on the glass door like towards the bottom as she gained some momentum. So that's what we think happened, at least. Because I was in the other room, I didn't see it. Anyway, so they get her stitched up and everything. And I'm debating if I should tell this part of the story or not. Because the hospital really tried to rip us off bad. And she was very adamant on me not spending any money because she obviously knew I had money by this point, and she was really trying her hardest to give off the impression that this is what all girls do with me, by the way. It's very ironic. You would think girls like want me to spend money, right? But because they know I have so much of it, it's like they never want me to spend any money because they're trying to prove that that's not what they're after. Which I do believe, honestly. I do believe, because I know where I lie on the scale. I know where I lie. But obviously that's also a factor. At least it's a perk for sure. Anyway, she's very adamant on me not spending money. And she was like, I really can't have you pay for this. So we're trying to call her family and all, like her uncles, her aunts, her cousins, to have them pay for this. Because she's like, I don't want you to pay. Please, like, let me handle this. Which I respect her so much for, but I really would have fucking paid it and no problem. And because she was like fine by now and like in a stable state and all, I was like, all right, let's do something a little fun, So we were in the waiting room, and because none of her family was helping out, none of her family was answering or whatever. We're in the waiting room, and I go up to the front desk. I'm like, we're just going to go outside for a little cigarette break, right? And outside is where they have the taxis and the security guards and all. So I go outside to the security guards, and I'm like, just talking to him. I'm like, hey man, like here's $20, like thanks for helping us out and all. Like, you know how I could get a taxi? Give him the $20 and all. He shows me how to get the taxi and all. So I'm like, all right. I tell the front desk lady, yeah, we're going to have a cigarette outside. We go outside, and this is in Punta Cana, where you don't want to be left on the side of the road. Keep in mind, very dangerous area. So, yeah, you remember me from last time, bro? You remember me?
Oh, yes, you know what's around.
Hey.
Yeah, cigarette. Oh, cigarette. Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah.
All you.
What's your name, bro?
Ivan.
Here, I light it.
Trouble.
Yeah. You want to say what's up? It's a little video I'm recording.
Oh, that's nice. What's over?
What's your name again?
Ivan.
Ivan?
Mm-hmm. Ivan Nevis.
Ivan, nice to meet you, bro.
All right, guys. Take care.
Take care, bro. You be safe. That reminds me of something too. While I was telling you that story, reminds me, like, a lot of people are reluctant to give to beggars and all, but we already kind of do that with welfare, like the welfare program. But a lot of these beggars are like straight up disabled. Like you see him like hunched over. Obviously, like a lot of genetic disadvantages. And yeah, it's just very unfortunate. So if we're thinking welfare and all, and like that, that is the system that seems appropriate, which I do think makes sense when there's not people taking advantage of it. In his case, like, obviously that's not someone taking advantage of it. Like, that's a 2-7, God gives you a 2-7. Like, this is where the rest of society needs to step up and help that human out. Doesn't have to, but I feel like if there is anyone to help out, it's the people with significant genetic defects like that. Instead of like the majority of people on welfare who are just taking advantage of the system. So it's like you give so much in your taxes to these people who are just taking advantage of the system, but you're reluctant to give it to beggars on the street because you say, like, oh, they're just going to use it on drugs or whatever. It's true, like, they probably are, but when you understand genetics and, like, heritability snowballing and how these people, like, end up like this, and if you're like me and you don't believe in free will either and everything's determined, like, they're literally just suffering. Like, all right, I'm going to give them $20. I don't give a fuck. They're more deserving of it than most of the people who are taking welfare. Because they legit have significant handicaps that they're born with and they can't do shit about. And that's a whole nuanced conversation to have, because obviously you could extend that conversation to, like, fucking IQ and everything. Anyway, so back to the story. We, you know what, maybe that's a sign from God to not tell this part of the story. Yeah, I'm not. Maybe in the Discord I'll elaborate on it, but I'm not going to tell that part of the story. Anyway, I promised I was going somewhere with this. I just had to tell that part of the story because it's crazy. I took some pictures on this trip and I posted them on Instagram. One of the pictures had Gianna's nails in them, which I did intentionally to stir the pot a little bit. I really didn't have to, but I did it anyway. And that was the first sign where Bella was very suspicious. Started putting pieces of the puzzle together, like things are not making sense. And yeah, so she questioned me about it, kind of half jokingly, and I said, oh no, that's my mother, what are you, crazy? But yeah, deep down she knew it wasn't my mother because the hands were very young hands. Anyway, that was the first sign. Then I accidentally gave her underwears that were not hers. I gave her Gianna's underwears by mistake. That was the nail in the coffin. There were some other nuanced, like, small individual times that kind of gave her, suspicions. But I'd say it was those two big events that did the most of the damage. And then, yeah, she basically said, well, actually, I completely forgot one part. Oh my God, how did I forget this? The nail in the coffin was that Emiliana, a girl that I told another story about, I made a video about her, how I treated her terribly and she's still obsessed with me. She just recently tried to add me again on Snapchat like 2 days ago. It's crazy, like you'd think she'd give up by now. It's been years since I've talked to her. Crazy. But, there's no such thing as a crazy person. Try not to say that. Anyway, train of thought. Oh yeah, so the nail in the coffin for what really made Bella leave was completely unrelated to Gianna. It was because Emiliana showed up to my apartment unannounced. So she showed up unannounced. I don't know how she bypassed security. I talked about this in that video. No idea how she did it, but she got through. 3 a.m. I get like a knock at my door and shit. I open it. It's her and her friend. They come in, and I didn't clock it in the moment, but she kept asking me to turn the lights on. And I'm kind of realizing now, I think the reason she was asking so much for that is so she could take pictures and prove that she was in my apartment. And what she did, she made a fake Finsta account, and she messaged Bella on the fake Finsta account and said, like, I was with your man, like, he doesn't love you, he doesn't like you, he likes me better, look, here's me in his apartment and all. And a bunch of other vile shit that Bella did not want to repeat. I have no idea what all the details were. But that was the nail in the coffin. And to this day, Bella thinks that Emiliana was Gianna. Because it's so funny, because like I would have gotten away with all the underwear situation and the Instagram situation if it wasn't for Emiliana. So it's just funny how it works out. Like Emiliana was the one who ended up being the nail in the coffin for it, even though she wasn't even a fucking part of this. But anyway, when me and Bella first rekindled, like recently, a couple months ago, we did have a little talk about it, and I explained to her, like, hey, yeah, I'm just going to be honest about, you know, that period, now that we're past that. And I explained to her, you know, that, yeah, that actually was a different girl. And it's funny, like, I was just honest with her, and she's still seeing me. She's still seeing me Thursday. Funny how it works, guys, isn't it? But yeah, she was like, yeah, I'm leaving you. I can't do this. That's enough lies, all this, blah, blah, blah. I'll try to find the screenshots of it. And we actually ended up getting back together a couple weeks after. But I had gone to see the girl in the Caribbean during that period. And when she found out about that, that was like the real nail in the coffin. And she was like, yeah, I'm fucking done with this guy. But maybe I'll see you one day in the future. I just can't do it for now. But there are some other details in this span too that I really can't say on YouTube. So okay, I'm gonna leave this part Discord exclusive.